Hi everyone, my name is Ken Stoltzfus. I'm going to be an instructor for the Psychology 370 Methods of Psychological Assessment course. I just wanted to take a little bit of time today to introduce myself to you and to tell you a little bit about the course. I think just 5 minutes or so to do that, and then we'll move on with the class. Like I said, my name is Ken Stoltzfus, and at LCC I do go by my first name. My last name is sort of hard to say, so feel free to call me Ken when you email me, when you see me in person. As I think you've probably heard and seen from the online schedule, this class will be a hybrid class, meaning that the majority of the class will take place online, and I'll explain in a little bit what that'll look like. But I will be in Klaipeda for 1 week in March. It'll be March 21st through the 25th, right before Easter. And so we'll have some time together, and we'll be working on a project and learning a little bit of some of the things that's maybe hard to teach online. We'll be doing that when I'm in Klaipeda in person in March. So let me just start off telling you a little bit about myself. I've been a professor since 2003, so I guess that's 13 years now. And I am currently teaching at Samford University. Samford is the fourth ranked regional university in the southern part of the of the US. And what I'm doing at Samford, I'm actually the chair of the social work department. So I've been involved since 2014, January 2014, in starting a master's degree program in social work. And in the US, social work is, in some ways, it's sort of like psychology here in the US because social workers are qualified to do psychotherapy and assessment and that sort of thing. So even though my degree isn't in psychology, that's how I can kind of get away with teaching it. My connection with LCC is that before I started at Samford, the university I work at now, I worked at LCC for a year and a half, and I think I may have met some of you. I haven't gotten to see my class list yet because of a computer problem. I've been having some problems getting onto the Moodle site, but hopefully if this video is posted, that means I've been able to get into the Moodle site, but at this point I haven't seen my class list yet because I've been having that problem. But anyway, I think I would have met some of you during my last semester at LCC if I've got my timelines figured out correctly. But yeah, I was at LCC from August of 2012 until December of 2013. And when I was at LCC, I was actually the chairperson for the social sciences department. And I helped to write the documents and that sort of thing that got the program reaccredited last year. So I know the program pretty well. I know the faculty there. I was even involved in helping to recruit the new department chair, Dr. Wayne Norman. So I know the folks there pretty well. I know many of the senior students pretty well, and I think I may have met some of you as well. So I've just got to say I'm delighted to still be involved at LCC. I got to come back last year to teach a class. Last year I taught the clinical psychology class, and I'm really excited to be able to come back again this year and to meet all of you, to get to know you better. And LCC and Klaipeda have just been such special places in my life that I'm really glad to be able to be involved in some way, even though I can't be there all the time anymore. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll look forward to getting to know you better once I'm there in person. And even as we do the online part of the class, I think we'll be exchanging emails and that sort of thing. So let me tell you a little bit about the class itself. And this would be the time, if you don't have the syllabus yet, the syllabus is posted on Moodle. Again, I'm assuming by the time you see this video that I've been able to get access to Moodle and that the syllabus will be posted. So if you haven't done so yet, why don't you go ahead and pull the syllabus up on your screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm just going to go over the syllabus page by page. So if you see me looking off to the side here, I'm just looking at my syllabus and turning the pages. So page 1 of the syllabus just kind of goes over my name, my contact information. The best way to contact me right now is going to be by email. Obviously, it's going to be hard to call me. We can't meet in person, but we can certainly talk by email. The course description, this class provides an introduction and an overview of some concepts, theories, and methods regarding psychological assessment. We're going to focus specifically on psychometric principles, test and item analysis, test construction, and applications of psychological testing. But you're also going to become familiar with some commonly used psychological tests, and you're also going to get some practice when I'm there in person in doing assessment interviews. And as we move down to the second part of the syllabus, the student learning outcomes, some things that I'm hoping that you can do by the end of this class. One thing would be to identify and be able to describe 3 components of psychological assessment. One would be doing an interview. One of the ways we learn about people and what they need and what's going on with them would be interviewing them in person. Another way would be behavioral observation. And the third way would be psychological testing. So that's the first objective, just so you learn something about each of those aspects of psychological assessment. The second objective for the class is that you can list and describe the primary types of psychological tests and give examples of each type. So, intelligence testing, that sort of thing. We'll be talking more about that as we go on this semester, personality testing, those sorts of tests. Third, I'd like for you to be able to define reliability and validity and explain how reliability and validity are established for psychological tests and measures. So, if I'm understanding correctly, I think you all are third-year students or juniors, and you'll be doing your senior theses next year. And so one of the things you're going to have to do is choose how you're going to measure the concepts that you're researching, and you're going to need to be able to establish the validity and reliability for your measures. And so we'll talk some more about that. Hopefully that'll set you up well for your senior thesis. We're also going to be talking about, as I mentioned before, some beginning level interviewing skills, and even practicing those a little bit when I'm there in person. And finally, sort of the capstone of the class is going to be having you develop a short measure of a psychological concept, pilot test that measure, and assess the measure's validity and reliability. And we'll talk more about that in a moment when we get to the assignments. As far as the attendance policy, obviously this is going to be a little different because you're not going to have a class to go to most weeks. But your class to attend, so to speak, will be an online lecture that I will put online each Monday morning. It'll be up there by Monday morning Klaipeda time. So what this will be is you'll be able to see my PowerPoint slides, and you'll be able to hear my voice in the background describing the PowerPoint slides. And then once you've done the reading for the class, watch the video, then you'll take an online quiz. And that quiz is open book, but it's only going to have a short amount of time, probably 15 minutes or so. So there's not going to be a lot of time to look through the book, to rewatch the video. You're really going to have to come into that quiz knowing really the main ideas from that week. So you're going to need to do all that, watch the video, read the book, and take the quiz by the end of the night on Sunday night. So every Monday morning, the lecture and the quiz will be up online, and by the following Sunday night, you have to have done that work for the week. As far as teaching methods, online lectures and quizzes, when I'm in person, we'll be doing some small group work and some role-playing exercises, and there'll also be a research report at the end of the semester. The textbook for the class, hopefully that's been handed out to you already. It's the title of it is Psychological Testing Across the Lifespan, and I have a copy of that here. That's what I'm going to be working off of. But the quizzes will have some information both from the book and some information that will be in the lectures, but not in the book. So you're really going to need to do both, do the reading and watch the lectures. Moving on to page 3 of the syllabus. The main project for this class, besides the quizzes and besides class participation, which we'll talk about in a moment, the main project is going to be what I'm calling the assessment measure project. And so I'm not going to read through this because it's a page long, but I'll just give you a quick overview of it. The idea here is that you're going to, in small groups, be developing an assessment measure. And so you can pick what you want to measure. You can measure depression, you can measure perceived attractiveness. There's all kinds of different things you could decide to measure. You're going to need to review the literature on the history and the current ways of measuring that concept. And then you're going to need to develop your own items for the instrument. You're going to need to develop a way to score it. You're going to need to test it with at least 10 people. You're going to need to perform validity and reliability assessments on it. And then you're going to need to write up kind of how it works, what you found, whether you found it to be valid and reliable. And you're going to need to talk a little bit about the strengths and weaknesses of the measure you made up. And you'll be doing that in groups. And so the last 4 weeks of class won't meet. You'll be doing that independent work. And hopefully the lectures, the videos, the reading, and then the time that I have in person with you in Klaipeda will set you up to do that independent work. So we'll have time to arrange all that when I'm in Klaipeda. And then we'll also be able to consult by Skype and by email when I'm back in the US after that. So that's a major project for the course. That's going to take the place of a final examination. And hopefully that'll just be a good demonstration of what you've learned and what you can do by the end of the class. Page 4 then is what I'm calling the group accountability form. Basically, this is a form where you're going to need to explain what you've done as part of the group for the project and give a percentage of about how much of the work you think you did. And then you're going to need to do that for each of your teammates, everyone else in the group. The idea here is that if someone is not doing their part, which unfortunately happens sometimes with these projects, everybody else in the group needs to tell me about that, and that person will get a lower grade. So it's a way of just ensuring that we don't have one or two people that do all the work for a group. Because like I said, I've been teaching for a while, and I know how that stuff goes sometimes. So that's page 4. Page 5 is just the grading scale for the class, and so there'll be 8 quizzes, 20 points each for 160 points. The assessment measure project is 80 points. So that's about 30%, almost 30% of the grade, something like 29% of the grade. So it's a really important part of the grade. And then finally, there's going to be participation and attendance grade. And the way that's going to work is I'm going to know whether you've watched the lectures and completed the quizzes. So for the part of the class that I'm not there in Klaipeda, that's your attendance, that's your participation. While I'm there in Klaipeda, you're going to need to make all the class sessions and actively participate. So if you show up and you sit in the back and sleep, that's not really going to get you a good grade. You've got to be there, you've got to be involved, you've got to be active when I'm there in person. And then that will be, I'll take that information and I'll convert that into a 40-point participation and attendance grade for you. Page 5 is a schedule for the semester. And I won't go over that step by step, but this week there's nothing due. You just need to watch this video and look over your syllabus. Next week, starting next week, next Monday, so that'll be Monday the 18th of January, I'll have the first video lecture up and the first quiz up, and sometime by Sunday the 24th at 11:59, you'll need to have watched the video and taken the quiz. So that's how it'll be for the first 8 weeks of the class. And then after that, I will be coming in person on March the 21st to be there in person with you in Klaipeda. And then after I'm gone, the last 4 or 5 weeks of the class will actually be focused on just doing your project, the one that I just described to you, the assessment measure development project. And then the very last page of the class, the syllabus, page 7, just gives LCC's standard plagiarism policy. And I will tell you, I have caught students plagiarizing. I have had to fail students for that. So please, please, please don't do that. If you run into a problem, if you need more time, email me, talk to me. We can always work something out. But please don't cut a corner like that. That just never works out well. And unfortunately, I always tell students that when you go from writing like a university student to writing like a PhD, like an online article or something, I usually know that something's going on and I can usually figure that out. So I just always tell my students, please don't go that route. I think that's all I have to share with you tonight. Sorry, this took a little bit more than the 5 minutes that I thought it would, but hopefully it's been good information for you. And that, like I said, is really all we're going to do for this week. You can kind of get started with the other classes. And then next Monday, the 18th of January, the first lecture and quiz will be online. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please email me. My email address is in the front of the syllabus. And like I said, I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple months in Klaipeda. And I'll look forward to working with you by video and email until then. Okay, have a great first week of the semester. I hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.